Well, hello and welcome to Baltimore Racial Justice Action's Short Takes again. This is where we have short chats where we discuss pop and mainstream culture through a racial lens. I am Anthony, and I am accompanied with Julia and Michelle again, per usual. And today we're going to do a mashup of current events. There was just too much juicy events happening. We couldn't just pick one. The first one we're going to talk about them together, is the anniversary of the insurrection, which was a few weeks ago. Today is January 26th that we're recording this. And then the other event that we're talking about is Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer saying that he is going to retire, and the rumors that there is a Black woman that will be filling his spot.
So my take on this is that it's not that we're opposed to a Black woman being a Supreme Court justice, right? It's what is going to happen based on which Black woman we choose to take this position. And for me, it feels like almost like a cover up for his, what was the Build Back Better plan? So many plans I can't keep them all straight, but that one is basically, as of right now, dead in the water, right? But there were things that were promised in that plan, like free pre-K and improving healthcare and all of these things that were supposed to be helping, giving actual, real, substantive change to poor Black families in America, and things that would have actually improved the lives of Black Americans, especially poor Black Americans. And that is now not happening, right? And so it's like, we're supposed to be okay with getting this Black justice, which, how does that really affect our lives, right? Especially if the court is still weighted in favor of Republicans. That's not really changing the everyday lives of Black people. It makes us feel good. It looks nice. But what kind of change is actually happening because of that?
Right. Yeah, I think that this is all very interesting. For one, the way January 6th has been talked about is on par with, the kind of American storytelling that we're used to regarding like July 4th and like all the wars. And it's created this very, we have to all get together. We have to all work together because this awful thing happened. And it's like, no one is saying that, like, okay, what happened was cool. I mean, I didn't think it was, I thought it was comical, kind of considering this country. But the way that it's being talked about, like, it's very much feeding into American, like, kind of Americana storytelling, if you will. And then the kind of the Supreme Court justice situation is kind of similar because, look, we've all heard representation matters. That's really important. But it just can't be representation. And so if we put a Black Supreme Court, we get a Black Supreme Court justice, particularly a Black woman in the Supreme Court. Like you mentioned, Michelle, it doesn't change. It's like the balance is still the same. Like it still leans conservative. For two, it's not enough just to have a woman, a Black woman there. Like what is that woman's politics? What does she represent? How is this going to actually help us? Is a very real question. And then furthermore, it's like, it just becomes just that representation. Like, well, clearly everything is equal because we have someone on the Supreme Court, like, see, and then Biden is to kind of put that in his book. I had the first, Black and Indian, Black and Indian and Asian, vice president. I, got a Black Supreme Court justice. I said I was going to do that. I did it. And it feeds into this story. And so I think, if anything, this is about the stories that America kind of continues to tell themselves to help them sleep at night so they don't worry about like the real issues that impact us on a daily basis. And it's, on one part, it's like comical because it's just like, geez. But the other part is like, it's depressing because people are actually out here suffering. People are actually out here trying to survive and make good with their families and support themselves, and they can't do that because people we're just kind of looking for representation. That's not enough. And it's like, I love the representation. That's great. Show me all the pictures. I love it. But what is the actual work? And I think that's kind of like a thing for America. It looks great. It's very picturesque, but what's actually happening? What work is really being done? I feel like that's a question, if I could pose one to Biden and his administration, like really great pictures, But what's being done?
I think the only other thing I'm also thinking about is the fact that, you know, right now in America, we are facing a time when Black people are really not even sure what's going to happen during the next election, right? Like, we don't even know what the next election is going to look like. We have what I think close to over a third of our states right now have passed laws that are going to make it much more difficult for Black people to vote. So we're now going back to reversing where we were in the 1960s in this country, and we're largely not talking about it, right? It's, you know, not really being talked about. You know, we just had Martin Luther King Day and talked about his legacy and everything he did towards us having voting rights, and we're literally watching those rights being taken away from us. So once again, you know, how is it going to feel and really be as a Black person living in America when we get to midterms, when we get to the next election, if we have a Black justice, but we don't even barely have the right to vote?
But here's the other part. Like, you talked about the fact that these laws, like, we may not be even able to vote because of, you know, what's on the books. But the other part is the Democratic Party specifically, it is not enough to tell people to stay in line, to give them representation, but the stuff that you actually said you were going to do, you don't do. You can't be telling people vote blue no matter who, and then you're not doing anything for them. And then you want me to stay in line for hours? You have folks who are missing work, who are not going to get paid for it. You are not canceling a student loan. You are not, there's no free health care here. Like, I would stay in line for that, but that's not even happening.
Right.
It's like, so you have like kind of two sides of that coin of you've already made it harder for me to do these things. You're making it harder for me to vote and to live and to survive. But then you want me to keep putting you in your party. And that's not to say that the Republican Party is any better. I am not saying that. I want to make sure that's on record. But like, you want me to vote for you and you're not even doing anything? It's like, why? Because you have like symbolic people in your party. Like, that's not enough. Yeah. And I think that that's really just, once again, picturesque. No work.
Well, that is it for our short takes today. For more BRJA content, please check out our social media pages. We are Be More Anti-Racist on Twitter and on Instagram. We are Baltimore Racial Justice Action on YouTube and Facebook, and you can visit us at bemoreantiracist.org for our website to get to know us a little bit better and see about some upcoming events. Until next time, continue to look at things with a racial lens and ask the questions that need to be asked, and we will see you in a little bit.
All right.